you hate the thought of working past 55 or 60? Do you hate not being able to live the life you deserve today? Do you hate not knowing what your financial future looks like? It's time to stop doing what you hate. Here's your host, Mr. Harold Green.
Aloha, everybody. This is Harold Green, aka G Money, and it is time to stop doing what you hate. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are having a fantastic day. Doing pretty good. Couldn't sleep last night though. Well, I could, but I just woke up super early, and I got some decent sleep. And funny thing is, I was watching a commercial on TV with my wife, and I think it's Mattress Firm, and they were talking about a term that I guess they made up called junk sleep. And I was like, yeah, honey, I think that's what's been wrong. You know, what's wrong with me is I've been getting junk sleep. And sometimes I wake up, not feeling too hot. So I'm really going to make an effort to make sure that I'm not getting what they call junk sleep. But anyway, again, I hope you're having a great day. It's a Saturday for me. And, it's been a long week, but it's been a good week. I've been very busy. And man, boy, am I excited to share today's show with you. You know, the past few weeks, I've been just kind of pumping you guys up, giving you pep talks and stuff like that. You know, rah, cheer you guys on. You can do it. We can win. Yeah, that's all great. But today is where the rubber meets the road. And I'm going to get down to some real talk with you guys. I mean, like for real. Like for real. So I'm not going to say too much more about it, but I want to start by getting into something that's important to me. And I want to share this with you folks. A lot of times when I open up a show, I share with you guys a proverb. And I do my best to read a proverb a book of Proverbs every day, if I can. So today's Proverbs 24. And, as I was reading through it, it really helped me, get ready for today's show. And what I want to share with you guys is simply this. All truth is parallel. I heard that said time and time again. All truth is parallel. A lot of, self-help, religious stuff, a lot of it has, some of the same truths in it, right? That's why people follow a lot of different stuff, because once they get in it, they're like, yeah, okay, so a bit of truth mixed in sometimes with a bit of error, and that's how things can go awry, because all truth is parallel. Sometimes people use the truth to manipulate things, and I'm not going to get too far into that, but again, all truth is parallel. But I like to follow things out of the Bible because it keeps me on track personally. And it also helps me to make sure that I'm not like the blind leading the blind. And that's a real big thing for me. I need to make sure that I'm on point, because I'm going to share something in a second, but I'm going to go into Proverbs 24 down in verse 30. And it reads like this. And this is the Amplified Classic Version. I went by the field of the lazy man, and by the vineyard of the man void of understanding. And behold, it was all grown over with thorns, and nettles were covering its face, and its stone wall was broken down. Then I beheld and considered it well. I looked and received instruction. Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep. So shall your poverty come as a robber, and your want as an armed man. Now, that was a scary one for me, because I envisioned it like, say, an armed person coming to your door, and they're taking whatever they want by force, and you're helpless. And so I want to share with you guys today this show built on rock, not sand. I'm going to say that again. Built on rock and not sand. This is going to be a little bit of a lengthy show. If you got a pen and a pad, take some notes, or, replay this thing over and over again, because I really think this is going to help you. And here's what I'm going to say. If I'm not diligent, I can cause someone great harm. Okay. If I'm not diligent in studying what I need to study and learn what I need to learn, or obtain the tools I need to be successful for my clients, I can cause a lot of harm. I can't be the blind leading the blind. And right now, like I said, I feel like in this country, there's a lot of blind people leading the blind people, a lot of people being manipulated and taken advantage of. I don't think that's right. I cannot build your financial house on sand. That would be malpractice for me. Okay. It just can't be done. And I want to kind of go back and talk about the fiduciary approach and the financial planning pyramid. And if you want a copy of this, just message us or whatnot, email us. I think our information is in the show notes. It should be. But get in contact with us and say, or just go online and look for the financial pyramid. I'm sure it's out there. And we start with risk management. Okay. We start with risk management, health insurance, term life insurance, property casualty insurance, disability insurance, long term care insurance, liability insurance, umbrella, on and on and on. These types of things are called necessities. And then we have the next stack up in the pyramid, cash money, y'all, savings accounts, CDs, checking accounts, home equity, permanent life insurance. Now, I really don't consider home equity really cash reserves unless you pull that money out of the house and put that money somewhere else and turn it into cash. Because if it's sitting in your house and the bank says, hey, y'all, we're not loaning out no more money. As a matter of fact, we're going to freeze your line of credit. Then what? They got you. Okay. Or they have you. Permanent life insurance. That's one of my favorite ones to use because I pretty much can dictate the terms in that policy. Municipal bonds, government bonds, corporate bonds. Now, I got to put this disclaimer out there, right? All investments carry risk of loss. Before investing, do your research, do your due diligence, make sure you understand your risk and everything that's tied into it. And also, don't take anything I say in the show as a guarantee. It's for informational and educational purposes only. All right. So, money market accounts, immediate annuities, income, producing real estate, and that's to balance and supplement out everything else. And then we got the long term and retirement, and that's for growth. Common stock mutual funds, personal business, variable annuities, variable life insurance. Some of that stuff I don't use, but it's in the financial pyramid, so we can kind of pick and choose what we build your financial house on. And then there's high risk options, oil and gas, collectibles, commodities, precious metals, and then I added my own college. When you send kids off to college, sometimes that's speculation. Sometimes these kids, they go out there and our kids get educations and it doesn't serve them well. So we have our own college funding program where we help guide your students, and we help them find colleges that are right for them, that are in your overall financial best interest. Because again, there's a lot of manipulation going on when it comes to making sure you get the right price or get your kids' education done at the right price. It's like flying on an airplane. Not everybody pays the same price for the ticket, right? College is the same way. Okay. So that is the financial pyramid. And it leads me to ask you this. What are you building on? Are you building your house, your financial house on the rock, right? Or are you building your financial house on sand? Now, you guys all know the story about the man who built his house on the rock and the man who built his house on the sand. The floods came, the winds blew, and washed the house away, and it was gone, right? He lost everything he had. And the man who built his house on the rock, the storms came, the winds blew, that house is still standing. And by the way, I'm going to say this to you guys. When you have storms in your life, storms don't come to make you stronger. Storms come to tear apart everything that you have. Okay. Storms do not come to make you stronger. You look at a hurricane, it doesn't come to make your house stronger. It comes to wreak havoc and destruction. So you need to make sure that you are building on the rock and not on sand. Let's look at some of the stuff. What do we consider sand? Advice from the media, right? Selling ratings. Got to make their sponsors happy. Selling ads, right? The internet. People need stuff to do. So they put out information. Some of it is good, some of it is bad. Family, relatives, people are just saying their opinion. I had a client come in and she was sharing with me how somebody had told her and her family, that's the dumbest decision you ever made. And she's like, okay, I hired a financial planner and he's the one giving me that advice. She didn't say who I was, but she has me on her team and I gave her solid advice. We're building a solid plan. And her family member tells her when she shared that that's the dumbest thing they ever heard. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. Be careful. right? Because then there's some manipulation going on. Sometimes we have dominating family members, and sometimes they're doing better because you know what? Sometimes they just get lucky, right? But not everybody gets lucky and all of their decisions work out, right? So sometimes people they get kind of high on their horse, and because they have stable income and they've been able to put away in the stock market and they just left it there, and now they get a sense of superiority. I'm my stuff worked out, right? But we don't know that yet. Give it 20 years and see where it's going to be. Coworkers. Another client told me, she came in and she's like, I said, why did you put your 401k like this? Well, my coworker, she's been like playing around and she's been doing okay. So I figured, let me just, I had her do it for me. Like, okay. And I'm like, all right, coworkers. A lot of times that's saying you can't take that advice and call it a fiduciary approach or fiduciary plan or a solid financial plan because it can be built on sand. Let's talk about the rock, right? What do I consider the rock? Historical data. We're going to get into that. Current data. We're going to get into that. Fundamentals, fundamental analysis. Talk a little bit about that. And we'll talk a little bit about causation. Now, there's a lot of fear going on right now in our country. A lot of fear, a lot of issues. We got this talk about inflation. Not only just talk, that stuff is real, right? Inflation. We'll talk about that. Civil unrest. People looting, rioting, stealing stuff, whatever. Political manipulation. We got some of that going on. We've always had it, but it's worse than it's ever been. And people are worried about that stuff. Pandemic, coronavirus. It's a real thing. People are dying from that stuff. And the market crash. I don't call it a crash. I just call it a correction because it corrects itself from time to time. And then it takes a leg up, or sometimes it takes a leg down. And we want to talk about things that people are worried about. But I'm telling you right now, if you build your house on the rock, you build your financial house on the rock, man, you're going to be all right. You're going to be all right. But it has to be built on the rock. Now, I want to take you guys through all of these things I just talked about. Inflation. We're going to go back and look at 2000 to today. And I'm just going to take some snapshots out of this thing and just kind of share with you guys what happened. Now, again, past performance is no guarantee for future results. We had inflation, we had civil unrest, we had political manipulation, pandemic, we had SARS too, the bird flu. We had all these things, the pig flu, swine flu, whatever. And we had the tech crash back in 2000. So what happened? I'm going to compare with you a stock by itself, which is Microsoft, and I'm going to compare a portfolio with you of low volatility, dividend growth stocks that paid dividends, they pay decent dividends, and we're going to look at from 2000 until today. And I'm just going to take you through some snapshots of this. All right, so in that low volatility dividend growth portfolio, we had AirPod Chemicals, Axis Capital Holdings, AstraZeneca, Chubb, Colgate, Palmolive, Campbell Soup, Chevron, Dominion Energy, General Mills, Hormel Foods, Johnson & Johnson, Kellogg, Lockheed Martin, McDonald's, Medtronic, PLC, McCormick, NextEra Energy, National Health Corp, New Jersey Residents, Res or New Jersey Res, Pepsi, Procter & Gamble, Smucker's Jam, Molson Coors Brewing, UGI, Wisconsin Energy, Walmart, and ExxonMobil. And most of these companies are companies you guys all know. And then, of course, Microsoft. So back in 2000, we're going to go from January 1st, 2000 until December 31st, 2005. We're going to take a 5-year snapshot, right? We had a lot of things going on in that period of time. But here's what happened. Microsoft went down 47.85%. It went down as low as 60%, lost as much as 60%. Dividend growth, however, provided an actual, these are actual returns. These are not hypothetical. These are actual returns based on historical data. This is real stuff, okay, not make-believe. That period of time, dividend growth was up 114.22%, and If you want to minus fees, you can minus like say 2%. The average fee is 2%, minus 2% out of that, minus 2% out of that, and then you get your net rate. All right. If you didn't sell it, we're not looking at the tax ramifications or anything like that. We're just looking at straight up, historical data. So dividend growth portfolio, low volatility, you got some dividends and you got 114% and divide that out by 5, man, you get like 20%. And tech just kind of like tech lost it. It lost its marbles. Okay. Now let's pick up from January 1st, 2006 until December 31st, 2010. Dividend growth would have given you 50.47%, and Microsoft, it gave you 16.83%. You guys are pretty smart. You can do the math. And so, but I want to take a deep dive into this because if we just look at this right here without looking at what should be happening in these portfolios, it's pretty distorted. Now, I talked to you guys quite a bit about the Rapid Retire program, and inside the Rapid Retire program and the income generation section and the long-term planning section, we have the short-term, intermediate, and long-term portfolios. And the goal of these portfolios is quite simple. I want to try to get 5 to 10% on the short-term portfolio, 10 to 15% on the intermediate portfolio, and long-term portfolio, I want to get 15 to 20% on that. So that's my goal in these different portfolios. But in 2008, something could have happened. Now, I don't just let my clients ride their portfolios down and lose 47%. Then I should be fired. Like, I'm really not doing my job if I let something like that happen. But if you're doing it on your own, it can happen because a lot of people are sitting in a buy and hold position. But what if we rotated in 2008? What if we rotated from dividend growth back to Microsoft? What would have happened? If we did that, okay, from 2008 until 2010, dividend growth gave us 26.35%. But guess what Microsoft gave us? Microsoft gave us 50%. These are actual numbers. These are real numbers. Okay, it's not make-believe stuff. 50%. But the problem is a lot of people don't rotate at the right time. They don't know when to rotate because they don't know what they don't know. They hear stuff on TV. It's all sand. Okay. Do not take advice from people in the media. You got to go plug the stuff into charts and run these numbers out and do the analysis to understand what's going on. Okay. So I want to fast forward a little bit and go from 1/1/2011 until today, or say yesterday, close of market yesterday. From that period of time, that's basically 10 and a half years, dividend growth gave us 233.55%. That's an actual return of roughly about, if you just kind of divide it out, divide that 233.55 by 10 and a half years, you get 22%. Minus your 2% fee, that's 20% a year. Boy, but Microsoft, if you would have rotated out of that dividend growth into Microsoft was up 1,211.41%. That's some crazy stuff right there. That's a return of 115.37% a year if you divide it out by 10 and a half. Minus your 2% fee, 113.37%. I was talking to a client yesterday and we were having our review lunch and just kind of going through the financial plan and going through all the numbers. And, we're looking back on this stuff and we're looking at, his projections, and we ran them down on basically like a 5.37% return. And because with the Rapid Retire program, you split the money up and then, I managed the 3 different buckets, but we pretended like we left all of his money in one bucket. And 5.37%, if he got that, he'd be in the tens of millions of dollars, by the time he died, right? He's like, Harold, that's crazy. That's like crazy money. And I said, people in the world exist like that, right? Just because we don't know them, or you may not know them, there's people who leave hundreds of millions of dollars behind to their kids through trust, businesses, corporations, and different things like that. And, if you're investing a large sum of that money, it can be some phenomenal returns, even if they're just doing dividend growth investing. With large amounts of money, you could generate magnificent returns. You can also lose a lot of money too. You just have to know what you are doing. So from that period of time, from 2000 until today, we've had inflations, we've had civil unrest, we've had political manipulation, we had pandemics, we had market crash. I mean, the highest inflation I found over that period of time was back in, I think, July of 2008. Inflation was up 5.6%. And that's when the technology stocks were just crashing and crashing and crashing, and people were rotating. And so last week, I think it was on 7/19, beginning of the week, I sent out a newsletter, and I send out a newsletter periodically to my clients because it helps them make sense of what's going on, and it helps them to understand and be at peace with things. And I communicate with my clients on good days, and I communicate with my clients about the market on bad days. And so I'll just kind of read to you guys a snapshot of what I said. And I'd like to take a moment to address what's happening as I write this to you. The Dow is down 875 points. We hadn't had a drop like that in a while. S&P was down 84, NASDAQ down 179. Last week, I sold out of some positions to give us more cash. Over the last month, there has been another rotation back towards technology, and things seem strange. Given the rise in inflation numbers, tech is going up even in the face of inflation. Normally, during periods of high inflation, tech stocks usually underperform other sectors, but something feels different this time around. And that's what I wrote. Something feels different this time around. And what's feeling different is the fact that we're so dependent on technology. It's ingrained in every part of our lives. Our daily lives are just, oh my God, we leave the phone at the house, has our passwords in there. We got to authenticate to get into different websites. Sometimes we pay for our coffee with our phone. I mean, technology rules our life. And so I said, because of this, I believe we will see a trend back to believing in the fundamentals of buying and holding companies with strong earnings, strong growth projections, and very strong balance sheets. And I said, I will be using this downturn to buy more tech stocks along with some other sectors to ride this period out. And so I send out these newsletters, and what it does is, even on like really bad days, and clients are like, oh my God, Harold must be going crazy. No, man, I'm not going crazy. I'm using these as opportunities to buy because we're getting better and better and better every year at rotating. We did it with coronavirus. We're doing it right now, getting better and better and better at rotating out of different sectors at different times. And because of things that are going on, sometimes it's just crazy. But that's where causation comes in. And causation is something that we look at and we say, we have the fundamentals that we're looking at. And then we also say, okay, beyond the fundamentals, let's say fundamentals be damned if you can say that. Fundamentals, let's say we have no fundamentals to look at. What can we use to understand what could potentially happen, right? Go in a shopping mall, look at the stores that are, with lines out the door. Look at Foot Locker, look at some of the other places, Chipotle Mexican Grill. Look at just drive. Just drive through your community and then just kind of look. I'm not saying buy stocks based on you see people lining up out the door. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying it could be an indicator of what could be happening or could potentially happen in the future. And I bought Chipotle Mexican Grill for my clients' portfolios a while back, some of them anyway. And I had one client say, Harold, why are you buying Chipotle Mexican Grill? And I said, look, they were one of the companies that pivoted the fastest during the coronavirus situation, right? They went to a lot of technology, curbside pickup. They were doing it safe. They're doing it fast, doing it right. And now look at that stock. Chipotle Mexican Grill is through the roof, right? So causation can also help you analyze the data and then kind of get an idea of where things are going. But you know what? You guys don't have to worry about that. Put me on your team, get my team on your team, and let us help you get from where you are today to where you want to be. Now, if you want to subscribe to my newsletter, give us a call, send us an email, and then we will put your information into our newsletter list. And then periodically you will receive my market minute. And it's just common sense. It's not a lot of commentary, not a lot of analytical stuff. I'm not going to bore you with that. I just want to help people understand how they can take advantage of different swings in the market and how I take advantage of that for my clients to help grow their wealth. Yes, there's risk involved, right? And that's why we look at ways to mitigate risk. We also look at ways to understand your risk score and then put you in portfolios based on the level of risk that you should be taking. But with the Rapid Retire program, there's things that we can do to allow us to take different types of risk at different times. So reach out to us, get subscribed to the newsletter, If you're not yet a client, get in contact with us, get on the schedule. Let us talk to you. The consultation is free, 1 hour. But if you want an analysis or deep dive into your holdings and your portfolio, I charge $375 an hour for that. I'll give you 2 hours for the price of one. Get in contact with us, and I'll help you stop doing what you hate. All right. So until next time, everybody, stay safe, enjoy life. Let's win. 1, 2, 3. Let's get it.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.